What up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit that like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this conversation. Stephen A. Smith, he has some things to say about Monique and her interview that she did on Shannon Sharp's, or shall we say Club Shay Shay's podcast. And I'm just going to let you hear what he had to say, and then I'm just going to share my thoughts.
Monique, she's brilliant. She's an Oscar winner. She's sensational. What she did in Precious, her phenomenal acting career, her comedic genius. Monique, I don't know if anybody said this to you, but I'm going to say this to you, and I'm going to say it to you out of love. You always say sisters or brothers when you're talking to black people. Well, this is a brother talking to you, Monique. You look very bitter. You look like the light has been stripped from you. I don't know what happened. I'm not going to call you a liar or anything like that. I don't know. I never asked Steve Harvey or Kevin Hart or anybody or Tyler Perry or Oprah Winfrey and all of this other stuff. I never asked. I don't know. But I know that you're telling stories about Oprah. I'm not saying false stories. I don't know. But you're telling one thing about Oprah. You're telling another thing about Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry leaves you a voice message reportedly, and you're airing the message. Well, how can somebody feel comfortable enough ever talking to you if they think that their messages are going to be disseminated to the masses when it was supposed to be a private conversation? You talked about Kevin Hart and how he said, "I love you, sister. We'll talk in 2 weeks." And then after that, you never heard from him again. Okay. Did you play any role in that? I'm just asking. Did you? I don't know. But when you bring these kind of things up and you talk about Oprah, I'm quite sure Oprah ain't perfect. I'm quite sure there are an abundance of people, black, white, and beyond, that have had issues with things that Oprah has done that have negatively affected them. But we all know how much positive Oprah generated for so many of us, because she showed us the way in so many ways about how to excel in this industry and in life. Does it have to be that bad? Even after all this time? It's just a question. Something that I want you to think about. Shannon Sharp had Monique and Cat Williams. I'm not looking for those interviews to interrupt his shine. He get his shine, I'll get mine. But that's my dude. And if he comes across as doing something wrong or doing something that people feel that I should be compelled to comment on, that's why I chose to comment. That's my position. I hope y'all can understand and respect it. And if you don't, you don't. But you know where to find me. This ain't the only Stephen A. Smith show you're gonna see. I'll be back with more. Monique.
Listen, you heard that, and it was just so loaded with BS, bias, and in my personal opinion, bitterness. He's the one that sounds bitter to me. Listen, I know that there are people that are like, it's been all these years. Monique is still talking about this. She needs to move on. She needs to get over it. Listen, everybody has a right to feel however they want to feel. And I previously talked a little bit about the interview, and more specifically her and Oprah, and the fact that she feels how she feels. everybody deals with everything differently. And yeah, you may get tired of hearing about it, but my thoughts were, it's her right to say however she wants to feel, even if she speaks about it until her last day here on earth. And hopefully that's a long time from now. But I'm just saying, if she wants to talk about it forever, she can talk about it forever because it is her experience. Now, can people get tired of hearing about it? Absolutely. I'm not here to say that people can't get tired of hearing about it or feeling how they feel about her feelings. Absolutely. Everybody has the right to feel however they want to feel. We all decide and make choices, and we may react to or handle things differently than another person. And this interview that she did with Shannon Sharp, which was her sharing her experiences, which a lot of us have already heard, and I feel like it expounded a bit deeper because my eyes were even open a bit more, because I never thought about Oprah, Moni'que, and the word jealousy before this interview, honestly. I just was like, oh, Oprah was wrong for that. That was dirty, bringing her brother on. I didn't realize that it was a few days after she won the Oscar. Hearing a little bit more about the looks and the glances, and those are things that you see in real time that at the moment you may not really think about it until after the fact to say, wow, I do remember the feeling that I got when I saw how this person was looking at me. I didn't really think that this person was feeling that way. And then hindsight is 20/20 for everybody. Everybody can say, if I didn't do this or if I did this after the fact. All of us have hindsight being 20/20, right? So with that being said, the response that I feel was not asked for, he says, if my people want me to talk about stuff, look, I'm not going to rain on his parade. I'm not going to, my thing is not to get these types of interviews. But if my people want me to talk about something that he did, then I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to share my thoughts. Why did he have to bring up, well, I'm not trying to get interviews like him? I'm not saying that Stephen A. Smith is trying to compete with Shannon Sharp, but let's be clear. They both come from the sports world. Shannon Sharp being someone who played in sports and then became a commentator of it. And Stephen A. Smith, one who was just more so a commentator of it and has gotten a big name over the years doing that. To have someone like Shannon Sharp, I feel, come up, not so much under him, but not someone that was really spoken about as long as Stephen A. Smith was talked about in the commentating field of sports. And yeah, they've done some work together. I think they're still doing some work together. I'm not quite sure because I don't really watch that type of stuff, but I know my husband does, and I don't really watch that stuff when he's watching it. But I'm just basically saying, him to make the comment, well, I'm not trying to get interviews like Cat Williams and Monique, like that's not what I'm trying to do. Why did you even say that? Why did you have to talk about your show? Like, you're bringing up things that are really irrelevant to talk about Monique. But clearly, he didn't really listen to it, because for him to call what Monique was sharing as her being bitter, she was talking about her experiences. And I would be hard pressed to believe that if he was blackballed in the industry that he's in and he wasn't able to advance the way that he has been able to advance over the years, that he wouldn't be upset about it. That doesn't mean you're bitter. That just means that you've been broken. And for him to say it looks like the light has been taken from you, absolutely, you could say that. I'm not saying that she doesn't still have joy, but to know that I believe that some people really don't have empathy and know how to put themselves in a situation like somebody else. It really is easy for all of us who are on the outside looking in to say she just needs to get over it and she needs to move on. When these two people, at least two of them, Tyler Perry and Oprah Winfrey, have been the catalyst behind stopping her from progressing. And I'm not saying that she has been perfect. I'm not saying that she has said everything that has been beneficial to her and to not cause people to feel a certain type of way, but it doesn't take away from what was done to her. She was blackballed. And to see these people shining and growing and be labeled billionaires and they're black like her, and those are the people that did it to her, and she has to see that all the time. Like, think about that. Most people, maybe not all, but most people would not take that lying down and just say, oh, I'm just going to hold my peace and let the Lord fight my battles. Not everybody is built like that. So it's easy for Stephen A. Smith, who has had a lot said about him, and I'm not going to go into all of that, but it's easy for someone like him who has been labeled in some instances a sellout because he's done and said things to benefit him in his career. And now that they may be making more changes down the road at ESPN, now he's basically doing more so his own thing and creating the Stephen A. Smith Show on YouTube, which is following in the footsteps of Shannon Sharp and you know, a few other people like that, to try to become a bit more independent so that in the event the check that he has become dependent on from ESPN gets cut, then at least he won't be broke and broken. Monique, she wasn't prepared for that. She had just won an Oscar and she was just trying to get what she felt like she deserved, to do other things that she was not contractually obligated to do. And they didn't want to oblige her. And not only that, they wanted to destroy her reputation in this field that she was working in, to stop her from having other opportunities to just be able to work, make money, and get the money that she deserves to make and support her business. I mean, support her brand and her family. The Parkers, the show that still is in syndication, is on Netflix and runs on so many other different television channels. She said that show has made so much money, and she and God, what's her name? And I know her name, Countess Vaughn. I wanted to say her real name, not the character Kim from the Parkers. They're not getting what is rightfully due to them. You sit and tell me, Stephen, if you were not getting what you knew you deserved to be getting, and these people were making all of this money off of you, that you wouldn't be sitting there and being upset about it. No, you may not be handling it in the way that she's handling it, but don't call her bitter, and don't say that black people need to stop tearing other black people down. No, tell Oprah and Tyler that those black billionaires should do what's right and stop trying to stop and block other people from opportunities because you couldn't get your way. You don't like the way somebody handled you or spoke to you or didn't kowtow to you. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous for him to say black celebrities need to stop tearing each other down. It's speaking about your experiences. There's a difference. And if you can't call out somebody that did you wrong, that looks like you already know that they're not going to come out there and speak about another person that doesn't look like you, that is in the majority ethnicity, that may be stopping you, holding you back, not paying you what you're worth. And that happens a lot. So that Black celebrities need to stop tearing each other down line really doesn't even make sense. It's not like she just came out and did an interview with Shannon Sharpe and she's just calling Tiffany Haddish a whore, calling Kevin Hart stupid, calling Tyler Perry gay, and calling Oprah Winfrey a fat liar who's on Ozempic. I mean, that would be, I'm just trying to come up with some examples of what we might label tearing each other down. But her coming out to say, Oprah had my family on her show a few days after I won the Oscars, even after she reached out to me and asked me if it was okay. And I said, I don't want them on the show. I do not want you to give them airtime. I do not want you to give them a platform. And she did it anyway. Her speaking about that and speaking out about it continuously and given the opportunity to be on Shannon Sharpe's podcast that is getting millions and millions and millions of views, why wouldn't she speak about it again? She's already been talking about it. Why wouldn't she do that again? She talked about Tyler Perry and the phone call. She didn't play it on the show, but we're going to talk about that. We'll do that in a separate conversation. But what she did isn't tearing them down. It's speaking about her experiences or even responding to things that were said about her. She talked about Kevin Hart and said, listen, I won't take away the fact that he actually did help me out financially, me and my family, when we were really going through it, really going through the thick of it. But then I found out about some things. I reached out to him about it. He said, it's not true. It's a misunderstanding. I'm going to get back to you. And he didn't. And then she found out that he said, some other things. Like, that's her speaking about things that actually happen. It's not her just sitting there and tearing them down, saying Tiffany Haddish can't keep a man and like just different things like that. Kevin Hart can't keep his dick in his pants and he keeps cheating on his pregnant wife and all that. Like, you might call that tearing down, whatever. I'm just trying to give an example. But Stephen A. Smith is sounding bitter to me because Shannon Sharpe is getting millions of views off of these interviews that he's doing that he says that he doesn't want to do. Who asked him if he wanted to do it? Maybe somebody did, but I don't believe that was even relevant in his soliloquy that he was giving about Moni'que looking bitter and saying, this is your brother. No, you're not her brother. You're somebody that's using it to get views. And listen, get your views because everybody else who's talking about it, they're talking about it to get their views. But more so, sharing their thoughts about what Shannon Sharpe talked about. So just admit, I'm going to get my money. I'm going to get my money too by talking about this because it's getting traction. But it's really funny to me that he could come out and say these things about Moni'que. But what about Cat Williams? Now, I wouldn't say that Cat Williams was bitter either or anything like that. But I'm saying he's basically speaking these things about a woman that isn't true. But if he wanted to say that this person sounded bitter because they're talking about their experiences, then he should have come out and said the same thing about Cat Williams too, and said that he looked bitter and it looked like the light isn't shining and he just looks like a dark space, a dark spirit, a dark soul or whatever. Like I didn't hear him say those things about Cat Williams. If he did, you can correct me in the comments section because I just didn't hear it. But I just felt like this was extremely ridiculous. And to me, it sounded like he was bitter because Shannon Sharpe is honestly making millions of dollars off of these two interviews because of the views. And he is feeling some type of way about it. He's not going to admit it outright like that, but he did admit it in a way that is not coming out and saying it, but him saying, I'm not trying to do interviews like Shannon Sharpe. Yeah. That's like someone saying, I don't care. Well, usually when people say I don't care, they actually do care. I'm not saying all of the time for every single person, but most of the time when someone comes out and they are talking about a situation and say, I don't care, they actually do care. Just say it bothers you. It hurts. We're human beings. But yeah, he definitely feels some type of way about it. Shannon Sharpe is getting all of these interviews, and that envious and jealous spirit, because I've talked about this before. I don't believe that people are jealous people. I believe that people embody jealous spirits. I believe people embody the spirit of envy. It's something that you can work to get rid of. You just have to recognize that it's there and get rid of it. But if you embody the spirit of pride too, then you're not going to reject that spirit of jealousy and that spirit of envy, because you're going to, that pride is going to say, I'm not jealous. They don't have anything that I want or whatever. When in actuality, you would desire to get some of that shine. You would desire to get those views that person is getting. You would desire to do something similar to what they're doing. Just admit it. Be honest. But that's the problem. A lot of people just aren't honest with themselves. So it makes it hard for them to be honest with other people, And so with that being said, I'm just going to play that clip again because it was just really ridiculous.
Monique, she's brilliant. She's an Oscar winner. She's sensational. What she did in Precious, her phenomenal acting career, her comedic genius. Monique, I don't know if anybody said this to you, but I'm going to say this to you, and I'm going to say it to you out of love. You always say sisters or brothers when you're talking to black people. Well, this is a brother talking to you, Monique. You look very bitter. You look like the light has been stripped from you. I don't know what happened. I'm not going to call you a liar or anything like that. I don't know. I never asked Steve Harvey or Kevin Hart or anybody or Tyler Perry or Oprah Winfrey and all of this other stuff. I never asked. I don't know. But I know that you're telling stories about Oprah. I'm not saying false stories. I don't know. But you're telling one thing about Oprah. You're telling another thing about Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry leaves you a voice message reportedly, and you're airing the message. Well, how can somebody feel comfortable enough ever talking to you if they think that their messages are going to be disseminated to the masses when it was supposed to be a private conversation? You talked about Kevin Hart and how he said, I love you, sister. We'll talk in 2 weeks. And then after that, you never heard from him again. Okay. Did you play any role in that? I'm just asking. Did you? I don't know.
You don't know. And that's why you just need to stay out of it. This was her sharing her experiences, and it's just really ridiculous. I'm not even going to play any more of it because he's not speaking as a brother. He's speaking as someone who's bitter. He's speaking as someone who really was not listening to her. He was hearing without listening. And that's the problem. A lot of people do that. They are not listening to the words of the person, and you already came in with this view on how you feel Monique is. And the fact that he sat there and pretty much praised Oprah, I feel that people really need to stop doing that. Praising Oprah, calling her auntie, saying that, she's done so much to show us the way. What has she done to show us the way? I mean, if we're just really honest about that, what has she really done to show us the way? Yes, she's worked. Okay, granted, she's worked. But all of us know we have to do the work, right? But she has been given opportunities that a lot of us will never get because of the connections to who she has been connected to. And one of those main sources is a man who is in prison right now for doing a lot of egregious things to women over the years, disgusting, heinous acts that she will never speak on. Period. So if that's showing us the way in order to become successful, I believe a lot of people would reject that and not want anything to do with it. And Oprah, she's not a girl's girl, and she's definitely not a black girl's girl. Let's just just have to be real. That's not me tearing her down. That's just basically speaking the truth. Oprah is someone who is self-serving and is out for herself. Yeah, she helped her best friend out over the years. Yeah, she helped Dr. Phil. Yeah, she helped Rachel Ray. After years of Iyanla pretty much struggling because Oprah didn't like her attitude and some things that happened, then she gave her other opportunities. But honestly, it was because Oprah needed her for her network at the time, the Oprah Winfrey Network. Oprah is not somebody that we should be looking to when it comes to success and showing us the way. Like he said, what is he talking about? If you're lucky and you get on her Oprah's favorite things list, if you have products to sell, okay, cool. But please get out of here with that foolishness of Oprah. You can't deny she's shown us the way. Get out of here like she's some civil rights leader. She's never been. Oprah is not someone that is, in my personal opinion, a good person. Nobody, I don't care if it happened many years ago, nobody that has a heart, that has integrity, and really cares about people would do something like that. Meaning bringing someone on her show that caused Moni'que trauma. And then she also claimed to be a victim of trauma in her early years in life as well. Absolutely not. But if you have the spirit of jealousy, you do that. If you have this spirit of self-righteousness and you feel that you're better than and above another person and you want to see them beneath you, you would do that. You know, there's a lot of people like her in the world, and she's gotten to the status of being a billionaire not because she is this great person. I'm just going to be honest. I just don't believe that a number of the people that are labeled these black billionaires are really the greatest persons. And what we are privy to being in the public is just what we're privy to. But trust and believe that they didn't get there by being the most kindest, gentlest person. Usually those are the people that really suffer and sacrifice and are struggling. So anyway, I'm not going to go too deep into that because I could go on for days if I were to talk about that, guys. But please let me know your thoughts on what Stephen A. Smith had to say. And you already know my thoughts. I've shared it and I'm done with it. So thank you guys so much for being here. Thanks for liking and subbing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye. Wonder if we maybe were mistaken. Don't want to talk, don't want to see